all these leads right at your fingertips, just waiting to be collected. So much temptation just within reach. Yes, Google Maps is a business goldmine, but you don't just want to dig up treasure, you want to make smart investments. And that's where things start to crack. In the left corner, your Google Maps lead generator, Scrap.io. In the right corner, the tool that lets you build an automated prospecting machine, Make. What if we connected the two? What if I showed you exactly how to do it right now? Hi, I'm Francois, and today we're diving into Google Maps automation. Let's start with the basics. What exactly are Make and Scrap.io? I'm going to assume you already know Make, our favorite and ultra-flexible automation tool, with which by the end of the video you will be able to build a fully automated prospecting system. On the other hand, Scrap.io scrapes, as its name suggests, Google Maps in just a few clicks. Each Google Maps request can be broken down using up to 5 filters: activity, country, level 1 division, level 2 division, and city. We'll come back to that later. For now, just keep it in mind. You have it in mind? Good. But what's even more interesting lies behind the door, behind the user interface, the Scrap.io API. If you want to give Scrap.io a try, you will find a link in the description that gives you a 7-day free trial, API access included. You're welcome. Oh, and one last thing, look at me, this is my serious face. Throughout this video, we will go through a bunch of tips and tricks. Just remember, some of these options depend on your Scrap.io subscription plan. Alright, now that's out of the way, let's dive into the tutorial. At the time I'm recording this, the Scrap.io model for Make is still in beta testing, which means there is a small extra step to go through. I invite you to click the link in the description, and if you are already logged into Make, all you have to do is click install, and that's it. If we head back to Make and search for Scrap.io, the app should now show up. Looks like we will also need an API key. On Scrap.io, just go to Profile, Security, API keys, create a new key, and that's it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take a deeper look at what we can do on Make. So I have 3 open tabs: Make.com, Scrap.io, where I've created my API key, and Scrap.io API's documentation. We're going to discuss further about 4 API features: search, types, locations, and enrich. Okay, but before we jump directly into the tutorial, please remember that some of the options actually depend on your plan and your subscription plan. For example, with the free plan, with your 7-day free trial, you can scrape data based on a city, okay? But if within this tutorial I'm showing you how to scrape data based on an entire country, because it's something you can do with Scrap.io, you will need another type of plan. Okay, we have 4 different features, 4 different models, let's say 5 if we take that one into account. And the most obvious one is to make a search, meaning we are going to look for companies, for restaurants, for hotels, for whatever category you will decide. To begin with, we have to create a connection using our API. I insert my API key, I click on save, we can move on. As you can see, we have access to plenty of different parameters, so let's take a look at some of them. The first one is the number of results per page. It's 1, 10, 25 or 50. Not 3, not 49, not 27, but really 1, 10, 25 or 50. We can use a cursor. That element is very paramount, but we will skip it for now. The Gmap type. Restaurant, let's keep it this way. The country code based on the ISO country code, so we will go for US. Admin 1 code, admin 2 code, and city. For the city, we get what that means. We have to insert the ID of the city to search for. Okay, but what does admin 1 code and admin 2 code represent? If we take the US as an example, admin 1 code are the states and admin 2 code are the counties. The point is that because Scrap.io is a universal tool, a universal platform, we have decided to pick up a generic name, the terms states and counties cannot really be universally translated. So as a city, let's go for New York. We will see if this is the correct ID for the postal code. I don't have to. Gmap is main type. Okay, from now on, we can filter our data out. For example, let's assume I want to get Gmap reviews count greater or equals than, let's say, 10. What else? If the website has emails, so it's a boolean. Actually, all of these features can be found on the documentation as well. Some of the parameters are required, some others not. What I usually like to do is to make it true to the following criteria: Gmap is main type. Well, what has to be understood is when companies register themselves on Google Maps and Google Business Profile, they have to choose different categories, plural. So they pick up one main category, but also multiple different subcategories. So if Gmap is main type is equal to 1, we make sure that within our search, we only retrieve restaurants as a main activity only. I think we are good to go. We click on save and let's just run this model only. It's a success and we have access to one bundle, meaning one result, with a lot of data. Does it have an email? Email, where are you? Emails, 1 email, 2 emails, 3 emails, 4 and 5. We didn't ask for that much, but sure. Another interesting model for us might be called search types, meaning we search for a Gmap type and retrieves its ID. So thanks to that model, I can search for IDs related to a specific Google Maps category. So I can search for, let's go for restaurant. I mean, you can pick up another one, bakery, plumber, strip clubs. Wait, no. And if I click on save and we run it, we have an incredible number of 369 results. On Google Maps, you have access to a lot of different types of restaurants. Okay, I can type bakery. In that case, I might end up with fewer results, fortunately. 5. Okay, that's still something. So now if I decide to change my search, well, this is my ID. Okay, so let's go for 1. The Gmap type is bakery, and we have one bundle, Café d'Avignon. Oh, sounds French. Located in New York. Good. Well, we can search types, but we can also search locations. Let's do that, shall we? Locations. We're trying to retrieve the ID of a specific location, the country code, US, the type of entity we are targeting, so city, admin 1 or admin 2. Let's go for city, and the search term, meaning my keyword, will be equal to Nashville. Okay, let's try that, run this model, and we have one bundle. So in that case, you see that the ID and the text are the same. Good to know. So now I can just change my search. Instead of New York, I can target Nashville, Tennessee. Good. Finally, there is one last model, which personally is my favorite. I add a model, Scrap.io, and with that one, we might be able to retrieve Google places related to the providing data, a domain, URL, email, phone, its domain or URL or email or phone, along with all their details. So you got it. Basically, based on one of these 4 inputs, we might be able to retrieve the Google Map data if available, of course. If it's not available, well, the output is equal to 0, no big deal. I personally go for the domain name. Here is my domain name, I save it, and let's see what it leads us to. We have one bundle with the data related to our keyword, our domain name. So please note that in some cases, you might also end up with multiple bundles. For example, in case you are targeting a very big company such as McDonald's, for obvious reasons, you might end up with quite a lot of results. Okay, that's all you need to know regarding the 4 Scrap.io's models. Now it's time to zoom out, to see the big picture, to understand how all these make models can fit together and form a complete, coherent prospecting system. And you know what? we've got some good news for you. But shh, don't go telling anyone. You promise? Good. The next scenario. Yes, we have actually already built it for you. And even better, we are actually giving it away for free. Big shout out to Seb, who worked on it and fine-tuned every little detail. Just click the link in the description to grab your ready-to-use scenario. Alright, let's take a look at what it looks like. And it looks something like this. Okay, let's focus on each model to have a better understanding. The first thing we're doing is setting multiple variables. Two variables, the first one is the number of results we want to retrieve. Remember, 1, 10, 25 or 50. Let's go for 50. And the other variable name is your CLI API scrap.io. So we need to insert the appropriate value. Then we have access to a summary of the 4 different scrap.io models. As you can see, they are not really linked with our workflow. It's just to make tries, to search for types, to search for locations, to enrich the data, or to blacklist, meaning to add items to a blacklist by email, domain, Google ID, or place ID. This ensures that these items will not be displayed in future requests and will not be counted towards your credits. What's next? An Airtable. To be honest, I've never used Airtable in my life, so I had to create an account for this tutorial. I hope it's gonna be alright. I create a connection type, I don't fucking know. Okay, I have finally found it. It was within the URL airtable.com/create/tokens. And what I've done basically is that I've connected my database to Make. So my very tiny database with 4 columns, the ID category, the ID location, the status, and the next cursor. The status, 3 options to do in progress or done. The ID category, we have already talked about it. The ID location, obviously it has to get the same nature, meaning we can't mix an ID location of a city with an ID location of a state. What about the next cursor? I'm pretty sure you have figured it out. If we wish to scrape 50 items, but we end up with 300 results, we need a next cursor in order to scrape the page number 2, and then we'll end up with another different next cursor to scrape the 3rd page, and so on until we reach the final page. And in that case, we will no longer have an next cursor, so the scraping will be over. I searched the records of these 4 columns. Now we have a filter that's interesting to notice. If the total number of bundles is not equal to 0, we move on. If at least we have 1 line within our database, we move on. We search on Google Maps using scrap.io, we choose an account. The result per page is equal to our first variable, meaning 50 in our case. The next cursor, the ID category, the country code, let's change it, let's say US. The admin one code, ID location, blah blah blah, and we can set up different parameters. Let's go for Nashville so the ID location will be Nashville. And the next cursor, let's keep it empty for now. An iterator, update a record, and update a record. Okay, let's check the filters first. If the total number of bundles is not equal to 0, in other words, if we end up with at least 1 result, we iterate within the data and we create a record, but in that case we are targeting a different table. It will no longer be the cible targets database, it will be the leads table. So we should end up with the name, email, and that's it. But we could have added much more columns, much more data fields. The name, the email, so everything makes sense. And obviously we map the result. So if we end up with 50 results, we will repeat the process 50 times. You know what? On second thought, I'm not sure that targeting a bakery in Nashville is a good idea. So maybe let's go for restaurants instead. Okay, so if we have a result, we just create a record. Okay, what's next? If the bundle order position is equal to the result, in other words, once we have reached the final item, we update a record, what record, the target table, and we use the ID and we switch the status into in progress. And once we have finished with that request, we add the next cursor in order to scrape the second page. Finally, if the total number of bundles is equal to 0, or if the total count is less than the number of results, so if we end up with a request including 49 items and we have asked for 50, and the total number of bundles is equal to the bundle order position, so we make our request in any cases, but once we've reached the last item, what are we doing? We update a record, and in that case the state2 is equal to done, and we don't touch the next cursor anymore. I mean, there will no longer be a next cursor, correct? Run once, it is done, and we don't have any data in our to-do table. So what happened? Because we end up with a total number of bundles 0. It's because I'm an idiot. By default, it's an admin1 code and not a city. Right. So you know what? We have to take the ID location and put it within the city input. Okay, let's see about that. What now? Total number of bundles is equal to 0 because the status is equal to done. We have to switch it into to do. Let's run it again. What now? Invalid permission. Okay, let's correct that really quick. And now it looks that it is working. It's going fast. 50, perfect. In progress, the next cursor has been updated, and within our leads table, we have access to 50 data rows. So this is all good for me. All that remains to do on your own is to download the make scenario by clicking the link in the description. Of course, what we just saw was an example. Now it's your turn to imagine the system that works for you. If you have enjoyed this video, you can subscribe. There is nothing else to see. Bye!